From the studios of NBC 12 and ABC 25, this is First Coast News at 11.
First Coast News has now confirmed Congresswoman Corrine Brown will be indicted on federal criminal charges now.
I have been targeted.
Certainly, investigators have been keeping this whole thing as tight-lipped as possible.
She has only been seen leaving her office, leaving this door one time.
What are your thoughts on the allegations?
Oh, how my constituents know anything about this? How you know anything about it?
Now we know Brown is expected to turn herself into federal marshals tomorrow.
Do you think this is politically motivated?
There's no question. My voters should be praying like me.
Who do you
Not only just political, racially motivated.
And that's the first time we've heard from her today. In her own words, tonight, Congresswoman Corrine Brown responding to news we broke earlier today. Multiple sources telling First Coast News that she has been indicted on federal charges. Good evening. I'm Heather Crawford. Now, this is video from the House floor where the Jacksonville Congresswoman missed votes tonight. She is now back on the First Coast to be in federal court here tomorrow. And we were at Jacksonville International Airport this evening when Congresswoman Brown flew in from Washington, D.C. Tonight, we have live team coverage for you. Co-anchor Ken Amaro is outside the federal courthouse. First Coast News investigator Clark Foraker is downtown with new details on this months-long investigation. And Stephen Dial is in Washington, D.C., where the Congresswoman spent the day. And we begin tonight with Ken Amaro. And Ken, you had the chance to speak with her tonight at the airport.
That's correct, Heather. The Congresswoman told me that tomorrow she'll be here at the U.S. District Courthouse around 1:30. When I met her at the airport, she seemed very exhausted, not from the flight from her Washington, D.C. office, but from the fact that she may be facing federal charges. Now, Brown usually travels with a small entourage, but tonight she was traveling with just one individual who seems like a legislative aide. She had very little to say about her fate and the pending indictment. The 69-year-old Congresswoman, known as a fighter to her constituents, did imply to me that she's prepared and ready to fight any and all charges. What are your thoughts on the allegations? Are you surprised? Are you surprised by what's taking place?
I see you tomorrow.
Congresswoman, you've been in the district 20 years. You've tried to keep
24.
your name 24. You've tried to keep your name above the smear, and now this.
Sad.
Do you think this is politically motivated?
There's no question.
No question.
No question.
It's no question it's politically motivated?
Absolutely.
Who do you
Not
think?
only just political, racially motivated.
Do you think this is related to the warrant that was served earlier this year?
Me at the barbecue place?
Yes,
Well, I'm sure it's all related.
Is this connected to the charity
Hey,
that...
listen.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any comments.
Excuse us, gentlemen. Now, Brown would not say anything specifically. She simply got into a taxi cab and she left the airport. Tonight's First Coast News' Stephen Dial is in Washington, D.C. He went there to see if he could meet her at the office. Let's go to Stephen now. Stephen?
Ken, everyone was looking for the Congresswoman here in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital. Reporters were camped outside of her D.C. office, as well as I was sitting in her office for a good portion of the day. She was only seen leaving her office once today, and she had no comment, of course, as we reported. But I spoke with some of her colleagues on the same hall as where her office was. They didn't want to go on camera, but they said that the House had a series of late votes tonight, and in their words, they said that they would think that these were the type of votes that the Congresswoman would attend and want to participate in. When I asked them what type of votes were going on tonight, they said that they were finance and budget-related votes. Again, a lot of people not really commenting on camera, but everyone definitely knew why we were in Washington, D.C., talking about the Congresswoman being indicted. For more on this, I want to send things over to my colleague, Clark Foraker. Clark.
Stephen, so the big question for many folks tonight, what happens next? What's next for Congresswoman Brown? And what we know is that tomorrow she is expected to be here at the federal courthouse in Jacksonville turning herself in before a judge. And as she told us when she got on the ground here in Jacksonville this afternoon, she says that hearing is happening at 1:30. We've heard from sources there will be some prayer vigils for the Congresswoman tomorrow before she heads to the courtroom. And it will be a pivotal development in this case because the veil will be lifted on what investigators have been looking into for months now. We don't know much about their investigation because it's all been done under the seal of the grand jury. That, in today's Twitter age, is one of the most secret processes in the American government. What that means is we don't know what they've been looking into, and when the veil's lifted tomorrow, we will know more things, like what the actual allegations are, who investigators have been interviewing, and surely the investigators and prosecutors will lay out a roadmap, sort of what they believe the Congresswoman did that violated federal law and why the grand jury has returned an indictment against her. So some of our sources do say that Congresswoman Brown is expected to speak at some point tomorrow. It's expected she will walk out of the courthouse tomorrow. Some people have speculated, I mean, she won't be arrested or anything like that. She'll just go before the judge and come back out is what we believe will happen, and we expect her to speak to the media. I talked with her attorney earlier today, Bill Shepard. He says his whole firm is representing Miss Brown. He will be here in court tomorrow. However, he would not specifically confirm an indictment has been filed. Ken?
Clark, we will continue to follow this developing story on air and online. And starting tomorrow on Good Morning Jacksonville, our reporters will provide coverage starting at 5 a.m. And again, Congresswoman Corrine Brown is expected to be here tomorrow, approximately 1:30 is what she told us. Stay with First Coast News for complete coverage. Heather?
Ken, Stephen, Clark, thank you all. And again, sources tell us that a grand jury has indicted Congresswoman Corrine Brown on federal charges. We're told that those charges are likely related to One Door for Education, a purported charity that the government says never obtained nonprofit status. And here's a closer look at just how the grand jury works. The group is secret, and if they hand down what's called in the legal industry a true bill, it means they believe the accused has in fact done something wrong. A grand jury can have between 16 to 23 members. Jurors are chosen from a list of registered voters, and they're paid for each day they attend the secret hearings about a case.
They're expected to act as reasonable people, to evaluate the evidence and to see whether or not there's sufficient evidence for an indictment. If there is, they hand down an indictment. If there isn't, they hand down no true bill.
Now, an indictment is the grand jury's stamp of approval on an investigation. In almost all cases, U.S. attorneys need it before they're allowed to officially charge someone with a federal crime. And once an indictment is unsealed, crime analyst Mark Bachman says the process can move swiftly through the federal court system if the defendant does not waive the right to a speedy trial.
The FBI is the investigative branch. They're the ones who go out and actually do the investigation, and then the prosecution or the United States Attorney's Office. In this case, it's an assistant U.S. attorney that's been assigned to the case, and they're actually guiding the case here prosecutorially for the rest of the way, but they'll be supported by the agents throughout. They'll be at all the hearings.
Now, Bachman says when Congresswoman Brown is charged, he expects that the judge would either set a bond or let her be released on her own recognizance after tomorrow's hearing. And this, of course, is a developing story. It has a lot of moving parts, and we have a great timeline of events leading up to this point to break this investigation down. Just go to the homepage of firstcoastnews.com. And just to recap what we know right now, sources say Congresswoman Corrine Brown has been indicted on federal charges. Those charges, once again, likely connected to her involvement with that purported charity, One Door for Education, that was based in Virginia. And tomorrow afternoon, the Congresswoman expected to be in federal court in Jacksonville. We will have multiple crews there. And you can read more about this investigation on our website, firstcoastnews.com. And starting tomorrow morning at 4:30 on Good Morning Jacksonville, we'll have continuing coverage of this story. We will bring you detail by detail throughout the day as it unfolds. Tonight, we are following breaking news out of Dallas, Texas. At least one police officer is down after shots were fired at a protest downtown. That is according to our sister station, WFAA. Right now, it remains an active shooter situation. We're told the shooter is armed with a rifle. This all happening where a large crowd had gathered this evening to protest those recent deadly police shootings that happened earlier this week. We're continuing to closely monitor this situation. We'll update you on air and online. All right, now on to your weather. Heat advisory today. Tomorrow, it's expected to be even hotter.
If
triple
that's
digits.
possible. Yes, it is. In fact, triple digits in many areas. Let's take a look at what happened today. We've got a lot of areas in the triple digit club or the Century Club. This is the hottest weather in the whole state of Florida. That includes Jacksonville Naval Air Station and Keystone Heights. Latest data in tonight saying we could even be hotter tomorrow. So we got the 3-degree guarantee forecast right on the nose today, 98. Tomorrow we add at least a degree, and we're not done yet. Even hotter for the weekend. Extreme weather, you bet. In fact, so hot we popped a severe storm over Putnam County that quickly rolled through. Some downed trees, 50 to 60 mile-per-hour winds near Pomona Park. Unfortunately, some glass there shattered in that patio table. We'll let you know more about the heat advisory that's expected to be reissued and if we'll have any more strong storms as we head into the weekend.
Thank you. In Duval County, a South Side neighborhood tonight searching for answers after 2 people were found dead inside of a mobile home. This happened in the 13,000 block of Ascot Court. Honey Rodriguez is live tonight from the Footside neighborhood with what we're learning. Honey?
Hey Heather, let me just start by telling you that we were just escorted by security from this mobile home park here out of the property because police are still working the scene. They didn't want anyone in there. We can tell you that just from what we saw driving around the neighborhood here, that several blocks are still taped off. There are several crime units still on the scene. Police have been here all afternoon up until still right now. They're still working the scene. I'll start by saying that JSO says that both victims who lived in the home with up to 4 other people. This all started around 3:30 this afternoon. JSO says a roommate came home and found the bodies of a man and a woman inside. Based on what the responding officer who went inside that trailer saw, police suspect foul play. Now, because they could not track down all 4 residents to get the permission to go inside, homicide investigators had to wait hours until they could get a search warrant to enter the home.
Well, at this point, we don't know who killed these people, if it does turn out these people were actually murdered. So I would say, is there a concern? I would say yes at this point, but we don't know, what the circumstances are or what exactly happened, so it's really hard to say.
Sergeant Paul says the roommate who found the bodies is being questioned by homicide detectives. Obviously, we have limited information at this point as police continue to do their investigation. We'll be sure to bring you updates as they become available to us here on First Coast. For now, reporting live, I'm Honey Rodriguez, First Coast News.
Honey, thank you. The Mega Millions jackpot has grown to an estimated $540 million for tomorrow's drawing. Thanks to brisk sales, tomorrow's drawing will be the 35th since Mega Millions had a winner. That's the longest rollover stretch in the game's history. Tickets are $1. They're on sale until 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And be sure to watch the drawing right here on First Coast News at 11. Tonight, thousands are gathered after another police-involved shooting in Minnesota. What the President of the United States is saying about the second shooting this week captured on camera. Plus, putting differences aside, who is expected now to speak at the Republican convention after going head-to-head with Donald Trump?